Report Network has a new and exclusive line of clothing. First up, the Jiu-Jitsu Rash Guard. This isn't just gear, it's a statement. A commitment to eco-friendly battles on the mats and waves. And for those who live by the bold champion spirit, we have something special. A line for men and women designed not just for the fight, but for life. Wear our bold champion spirit of Jiu-Jitsu Rash Guard confidently. Its striking design with golden figures in combat honors the enduring spirit of competition in martial arts. Pair it with our unisex mesh shorts, the perfect combo of style, comfort, and eco-conscious design for the modern warrior. And don't forget, our Jiu-Jitsu Bold Champion Spirit leggings. This attire is expertly engineered to channel the champion spirit in every move you make. Together, it's not just about looking good. It's about feeling the part and living the Jiu-Jitsu way, both on and off the mats. Meticulously crafted for the yoga studio, the gym, and beyond, blending style, comfort, and the heart of a champion. Wear your passion, embody sustainability, and elevate your practice. Join the league of athletes who wear their values as proudly as their belts. It's more than clothing, it's a way of life. Ringside Report Network, where champions dress for success, sustainability, and the spirit of the sport.
Attention to all professional wrestling fans and followers of the legendary Johnny Genesis North. We are releasing a must-have collection of Johnny North merchandise in our store at merch.ringsidereport.net, starting with our limited edition Johnny Genesis North 3/4 sleeve t-shirt. With a unique design capturing Johnny in action, this tee exudes raw energy and intensity through its versatile 3/4 sleeves for any weather. Stand with our legendary co-host, Johnny North. Make a bold statement in the wrestling community by getting yours today, exclusively at merch.ringsidereport.net.
Get ready to amp up your betting game with Ringside Report Network's latest knockout offer. We've teamed up with our pals at Bet99.com to bring you something that will shake up the betting world. Dave's Picks with boosted odds. Here's the lowdown. Normally you see odds like -200 over at Bet99, right? Picture this. We hit up our buddies at Bet99 and worked out some magic. Suddenly those odds? They're looking a whole lot sweeter at -150. That's right, and we're all about getting you those exclusive, juiced up odds, only for the Ringside Report universe. So here's the game plan. We dish out the picks, and you keep those eyes peeled. You might see a number on Bet99, but hold up. Wait until Saturday morning rolls around. Thanks to those boosted odds we've snagged for you, those numbers will look much better. I'm all for Bet99 doing great, but let's not kid ourselves. We want to win big too. It's all in good fun, and hey, it's part of the thrill of the game. They're in on it, and we're in on it. It's all about having a blast while pocketing some extra cash. Ready to take advantage of those boosted odds? Go to the special Ringside Report Bet99 link on your screen. We're all about seeing how much we can boost the odds for you, our loyal viewers. And a huge thank you to Bet99 for their support of the Ringside Report Network.
Yes, indeed. It's Wrestling Uncensored. Tonight on the show, we're previewing AEW Dynasty, reviewing our live experience at WWE Raw, and talking all things SmackDown. Let's get to it. Hello there. Hello. How are we? How are we all doing tonight? Whoa. Wait a second. I'm hearing myself. There we go. It is Wrestling Uncensored. I am your main man, Dave, and I am here without Johnny. There's no Johnny here tonight. Johnny is wrestling in Ontario. He had a long travel, so he's not with us here tonight. And my brother is under the weather, so he's not with us here tonight. So you got Solo Dave, which means questions from you. You've got questions. You've got topics you want me to cover. Of course, along with the usual stuff. But definitely, you guys are my co-hosts tonight. So whatever you guys want to talk about, we're ready to go. Angelo! Already bringing it. And already bringing it with a topic, of course, we're going to cover, Angelo. How was the show Monday night, Dave? We will tell you. I will tell you. I say we. I'm used to saying we. Because it's usually more than one of me here. Yankees won, by the way, 5-3 over the Rays, which was nice. Juan Soto with a home run tonight. So that was a nice way to start the night here before we jump on for Wrestling Uncensored. Of course, we had SmackDown tonight. Decent episode of SmackDown. Not a memorable show. Not a star-studded show. But we'll definitely get into what happened on SmackDown tonight. But let's start out with Raw, because I was at Raw. Ryan Katz, I think, was at Raw. Ryan Katz in the chat. I see you, Ryan. I see you, Big Cheese Bob Burgers, which is a fun name. I went to Monday Night Raw, and it was definitely an enjoyable experience. The crowd was hot. It was packed at the Bell Center. They said it was sold out. People are disputing whether or not it was sold out. I didn't see a lot of empty seats. The crowd was packed to the rafters, brother. I mean, the upper decks full of people. From what I could tell, I looked around and it was packed. It was loud. It was a very impressive crowd for that WWE Raw show. I have been to all the Raw shows, all the SmackDown shows, all the pay-per-views that the WWE has brought to Montreal over the past, what now, guys? 25 years at least? I haven't missed, a show. Why would I miss a show? I'm not missing anything. In my hometown. I feel like I'm jumping. Am I moving around? I'm moving around a bit. I don't mind. We're adjusting me. But I've been to all the shows, and, we've had tapings, TV tapings, that weren't as hot. The crowd was not as into it. I've heard hotter crowds. I felt like, I've been in buildings that rumbled. I mean, you think the building rumbled for Sami Zayn on Monday night, and it did, but my goodness, the building rumbled for Hulk Hogan the night after WrestleMania. That was something. After he beat The Rock, I do believe Monday night on Raw was us, right? Hogan was there, got a ridiculous ovation. Was it the night after Mania? Did we get the Raw after Mania that year? Am I remembering that correctly? I always, question, and then Johnny North is here to be like, yes, it was the Raw after Mania. It was either the Raw after Mania or a week after Mania. But, I mean, that was crazy. But the crowd was very loud for Sami Zayn, very loud for Sheamus. Sheamus beating Ivar on Raw, the return of Sheamus. Crowd was loving it. I was very happy to see Sheamus get such a loud reaction for his return. He seemed to really appreciate it. The crowd was really into Sheamus, and I liked that he brought back his old theme song, "It's a Shameful Thing, Lobster Head. Na na na, that but dead. Too many limes, too many limes. Too many limes." It's a good song. So that was good. Crowd loved Sheamus. Unfortunately, Mommy giving up her belt. We were hearing rumblings throughout the day that Rhea Ripley was hurt and may have to give up her championship, and then WWE announced that she was going to address the title. And you know what address the title means? It means I'm hurt and I'm giving it up. Whenever they say they're going to address the title, they're saying, I can't do this anymore. So Rhea Ripley got hurt in some angle with Liv Morgan last week on Raw. Some kind of freak accident. She's legit hurt. She's going to be out for several months. She came out with her arm in a sling. She says she's given up the belt. Crowd was not happy about it. Liv Morgan came out, started talking trash. Rhea is legit hurt, Angelo. Yes, she is hurt. Ryan Katz said he got relocated to 101B16. Never been so close to the ring in his life. Good for you, Ryan. Jimmy James says, yeah, it was after Mania. Yeah, it was nuts. That Raw after Mania with Hulk Hogan, after the match with The Rock, that was at the Bell Center. I was there. It was bananas, the reaction that Hogan got. That was the loudest reaction I've ever been a part of for anything. Outside of maybe when GSP won the title. When GSP beat Matt Serra at the Bell Center, whew, that was loud. That was loud. That was crazy. That was it was either Hogan or when GSP won the title. All of GSP's fights at the Bell Center were pretty bananas. They were all the Nick Diaz fight was pretty nuts. Crowd was pretty loud for that, let me tell you. Again, like Sami Zayn, crowd loves Sami Zayn, hometown guy, but GSP was another level. The crowd went crazy for GSP. Him and Koscheck, those fights at the Bell Center, I will never forget. Those were just nights that I will remember for the rest of my life. Crazy. Loud. Real sellouts all around the Bell Center, right? Not cut off at a certain point. When WWE says it's sellout, they say 15,000. It's a 22,000 capacity arena. When the UFC does a sellout, it's like 20,000 people. You know? WWE, they cut off a chunk of the arena. They cut off a chunk of seats to put their stage and all the setup and stuff when they walk out, right? The entranceway. AJ in the chat. What's up, AJ, my man? But it was a really hot crowd. I'm like diminishing the crowd saying, oh, these other crowds were better. I mean, yeah, it was not the hottest crowd I've ever been a part of, but like I've been to some episodes of Raw and Smackdown that WWE has done where the crowd's been kind of like, yeah. And it wasn't a sellout, and it's kind of like, ooh, when's WWE going to come back here? But the crowd for this show was like, on fire, going nuts for everything, and it felt like, okay, this is a good crowd for WWE, and they'll definitely be back soon for something good. And the Sami Zayn match was electric. Big fight feel. Him and Gable had an excellent match, suplexing each other on their necks and heads. Just awesome stuff. Really good match. Sammy's entrance was amazing. Walking through the Bell Center, he walked right by my section. He walked right by everybody's section, though, right? But as he came into the arena, he kind of walked down the stairs by me, and then he walked all over the Bell Center. I don't know if that was seen on TV, but Sammy did like a loop. He walked everywhere in the crowd, everywhere, until finally going around. But he was just walking all over the place, slapping hands, celebrating with the people. It was quite a moment for Sami Zayn. Quite a moment for Sami Zayn. I think it was more than 12,000 people. I see Ryan and Angelo saying maybe 12,000. I don't know. I think it was more than 12,000. I think it was probably maybe around 13 or 14. WWE, I think, was saying 15, but that didn't seem... I saw there's a Twitter account, WrestleTix, and that's pretty accurate because they just follow what's being sold and everything. And they were saying before... I saw a tweet that they put out maybe a day before or 2 days before the Raw show, and they had 12,000-something seats sold at that point. So I think they probably wound up doing 13 or 14, but I don't think they fully sold everything that they made available. But it was close. They did a really good job. It was way more packed than Dynamite was, that's for sure. Dynamite at the Bell Center was pretty empty. Collision was also Collision was more empty. I went to both of those shows too, obviously. You guys know I'm going to all the shows. I'm not missing anything. I know some wrestling fans that don't go to all the wrestling shows. I go, what? What do you mean? Why didn't you go? Oh, you like wrestling, right? Yeah, I like wrestling. You don't like wrestling like I like wrestling. I'm going to all the wrestling, man. WWE's coming. Big wrestling show. Monday Night Raw. Classic TV show. Why not? Why not? New tag team titles. Very cool to see Triple H come out. Surprise appearance from the game. So the Cerebral Assassin, the King of Kings. The Measuring Stick. He was out there, which was cool to see. My son got to see Triple H. I went with my son and my brother to Raw. And then Truth and Miz came out, and they did their comedy thing. And at one point, Triple H was like, "Can I leave? Can I just leave?" I was like, yeah, can I leave too? I want to go to the gimmick stand and get myself a Rock t-shirt. Which I did. I got myself a People's Champ t-shirt. I got to represent for the final boss. The final boss! I wanted to get a t-shirt that said, don't fuck with the final boss, but they didn't have that. I don't know why. I don't know why they didn't sell that. It just says People's Champ, The Rock. It's pretty cool. I'll wear it on the show for you guys next time. Angelo says the Raw tag titles look much better than the SmackDown tag titles. Yeah, they introduced the new tag team titles for Truth and Miz, and I don't really like them at all. What is this popping up on my screen? You got me a Cody Rhodes? Why did AJ's chat pop on the screen like that? I didn't get AJ anything. I didn't get you anything, AJ. Why you... That was really... See, even AJ in the chat, fully throws me off and distracts me. AJ, you want to come on the show? Or is your internet still trash? What are you doing? You want to come on, AJ? You could come on. I don't mind. Whoa! Where am I going? Shifted. The production team is having all kinds of fun with me tonight. What is this? The hackers again? Oh, we're doing a little shifty. So I can see the chat easier? Is that what we're doing? Is that why we did that? Is that for me? Was this done for my benefit? This whole thing? Give me a yes on the something. Yeah? Or was that just because we thought it was a good idea? I don't mind it. I like the chat popping up there. It's easier for me to see. Yeah. Okay. Oh, my goodness. I don't love the new belts, to be quite frank with you. because they look a lot like the world title belts and the women's title belts. Like, all the belts look the same now. All the SmackDown belts have a look, all the Raw belts have a look, and they all kind of look same. Except Cody's belt looks kind of different because it's like a different belt, but they'll probably change Cody's belt and make it look just like a slightly different version of the Damian Priest belt. They all kind of look the same now. I don't love it. I don't love the looks of the tag belts or the SmackDown tag belts that they put out tonight or the Raw ones. I really was not a fan of that comedy segment with Miz and Truth. I thought that was pretty weak. I did not enjoy that. And, like, again, it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's like, oh, Truth comes out, he tries to do a little comedic bit, and then Miz kind of stomps all over it with his clumsy comedy that's just bad. And it turns out bad. And Triple H wants to walk away from it. That was a low point of Raw. And then we saw Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae beat Maxine Dupree and Ivy Niles. And, I mean, it was short at least. But just... those people are not over at all. Being in the crowd and seeing them wrestle, you go, why? It's filler. All these people are filler. I mean, they're there to, round out the division, I suppose, but my goodness, no one cared. No one cared. Nobody was over. People are confused that Candice LeRae is a heel for some reason. Maxine and Ivy Niles come out and you're like, are they the heels? Because they look like they'd be the heels. And no one is invested enough in what they're doing on TV, which is barely anything, to really know who the heel, who the babyface is, because no one cares about any of these people. So then you have Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, and Candice is like cheating to win, but Indy doesn't want to cheat to win, but maybe she's going to go along with it. Who cares? At least it was short, is what I'm saying. It was not great. I'm getting messages all over the place. What's happening here? AJ sending me a message. Getting messages about Frank Sinatra. AJ is at a restaurant right now. He's at some sort of souvlaki place. Is this what I am to know? I am at Village Grec on Jean Talon. AJ is having souvlaki now. It's 10:30 at night, and this guy's having a souvlaki. This is the life that AJ leads. I don't understand how he leads it as a father of a young child. However, he leads that life, and it's surprising to me. And here I am doing a show, so AJ's not going to join me tonight. No AJ. That's fine. AJ doesn't know anything about wrestling, so we don't really need him on the show. Oh, I should mention that I did see Green Phantom as one of the security guards for the Liv Morgan thing. He was holding Liv Morgan back from attacking Rhea Ripley, and Liv Morgan's not getting away from Green Phantom, so that was cool. I like seeing Green. He wasn't wearing his mask, so people maybe didn't know it was Green Phantom. But I've seen Green Phantom without his mask on, and I knew it was him. So it was pretty cool to see him on Raw. The Green Phantom making another appearance on Monday Night Raw as a security guard. Andrade wrestled Dominic Mysterio in another match that people weren't really into. People booed Dominic and were mostly confused about what to do with Andrade, as wrestling fans have been for his career. We're not really sure. We're like, yeah, he's all right. As a babyface, I don't think it really works. As a heel, I think it could work better in the right direction. But he's been mostly directionless for his career. He was directionless basically in AEW, and he's come to the WWE and seems to have continued on the path of nothing. I guess he's feuding with Dominic Mysterio now. I thought they were friends, but now they're not. Now he hates him. Because he teamed with Rey at WrestleMania, and it's just... So Andrade's feuding with Dominic? Is he going to go after Damian Priest? Is that something people would buy for the world title? The supposed world title? Damian Priest is the world champion. And his first challenger is going to be Jey Uso. Backlash coming up in a couple weeks from the WWE. We know who Cody Rhodes' opponent will be. It will be the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. For the first time ever in a one-on-one match, they said on SmackDown tonight, which surprised me. I said, really? First time ever? Cool. Two Georgia boys battling out in Lyon, France, in Backlash. Le Backlash. C'est bon. It's a cool match. It's a good match. I knew it was going to be AJ. AJ and LA Knight wrestled tonight. It was a solid opener for SmackDown. AJ poked LA Knight in the eyes, hit him with a forearm, and then hit the phenomenal forearm to pin LA Knight and get the win and become the number one contender, and will now face Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship at Le Backlash. And, it was a predictable finish. We knew we were going to get AJ as the opponent because LA Knight, as an opponent for Cody in his first defense at Backlash, babyface on babyface, it's not really a strong first defense for Cody, and it would be weird if LA went up against him and lost because at this point, LA's kind of gaining momentum, and AJ cheated to win, but Cody's not going to cheat to win, right? So it made sense for AJ Styles to get the shot against Cody. The match will be solid, but we all know what's going to happen in the end. Cody is not losing to AJ Styles. He's not going to lose his first title defense to AJ Styles. They're going to have a contract signing on SmackDown next week. It is what it is. Not too excited for Backlash. More excited for AEW's Dynasty, which we will preview here in a little bit on the show. Monday Night Raw, though, very fun experience. A lot of fun. Cody was on Raw. He talked about The Rock. He said he thinks The Rock will do more than one match. He has a lot of matches in him. So Cody's still planting those seeds for The Rock down the road, which I think is going to happen maybe at SummerSlam if we're lucky. WrestleMania if they make us wait. Depends on Big Dwayne's schedule. But you wait for the final boss. He's worth the wait, right? Come on. The final boss. Jimmy James says Dominic really gets heat. He definitely does. The crowd did not like Dominic. Angela wants to know if I got to meet Ray Cruz. I did not. I did not get to meet Ray Cruz. I didn't see Ray Cruz. The thing is, Ray Cruz knows what I look like, but I don't know what he looks like, Because he sees me, but I don't see him. I just see his name. So I have no clue what you look like, Ray, so I couldn't look around and find you. I hope that you would look around and find me. But, there's a lot of people at the Bell Center, and even if we were sitting in the same section, I think you were several rows maybe ahead of me. I'm not sure. So, I don't know. I didn't get to meet Ray Cruz. I saw nobody from the Wrestling Uncensored universe. I was kind of in and out of the Bell Center. I saw no one. Some people saw me on TV in the crowd. But other than that. Are these guys talking about souvlaki's now in the chat? What's the best souvlaki in Laval? My goodness. I really like, it's not in Laval, but I like Villa Souvlaki if I get to throw my vote in here, guys. Villa Souvlaki and NDG. AJ probably knows what I'm talking about. That place is good. I haven't been there for several years. I assume it's still good, but Villa Souvlaki was Muy bueno. AJ, you know about Villa? Villa Souvlaki? You go there? In DG? Good souvlaki, bro. Jimmy James says Priest is like a Roman knockoff. People call Damian Priest, there's a thing on the internet where Damian Priest is the bisexual Undertaker. That's what they call him. And he's kind of gone along with it, and I think Rhea Ripley commented about it, and Priest liked the comment or something. I don't know if he's actually bisexual, but maybe it's just like if Undertaker was bisexual, he'd look like Damian Priest or something. I'm not really sure what's going on. But that's a thing that I saw on the internet that Rhea Ripley kind of said. I was like, what is this? The bisexual Undertaker. That's a weird one. But then I look at Damian Priest and I go, yeah, okay, I guess maybe that's a gimmick. Maybe that's where you're going with what you're doing. Because it's kind of hard to figure out what he is, right? You go like, what is your gimmick, man? You're in the Judgment Day. There's like a darkness element to it, right? You're like, all will fall to the Judgment Day. You know, like there's that kind of stuff. But then you're kind of joking around and you're like you're not dead serious like The Undertaker. You're not like digging graves and rolling your eyes in the back of your head and doing stuff like that. You don't have magic powers, right? So what's the gimmick with Damian Priest? What's the gimmick with the whole Judgment Day? They're like goth? Without Rhea Ripley, too, they lose a lot of the edge, right? It's a bad time for Rhea Ripley to get hurt for Rhea Ripley, but also for all of the Judgment Day, and especially Damian Priest, who's fresh now as the champion. But champion, I don't know. Look at Raw and tell me who's the bigger champion. Who's the more important champion on Raw? Cody now is kind of like the SmackDown champion, so I'm going to put him on the side because I think he's just going to wind up on SmackDown because Roman was the SmackDown champion, basically, and Cody took that belt, and he did a promo for SmackDown. He's in the UK with Raw, but he did a promo for SmackDown that aired on SmackDown tonight, and he's going to be on SmackDown next week for his contract signing for Backlash, where he will be wrestling AJ Styles, a SmackDown wrestler. SmackDown. So Damian Priest, Raw champion. The other Raw champion, Intercontinental champion, Sami Zayn. Who's the bigger star? Who's the bigger champion? Who main evented Raw? Sami Zayn. Damian Priest, as the world champion, is lower than the Intercontinental champion on Raw. In the overall view of the fans, in the pecking order of the WWE, as far as being over, as far as having entertaining segments, and I'm not just talking about in Montreal, I'm talking about around the world. Sami is way more over, way more loved by the fans than Damian Priest. Priest is not a heel. I guess he's a heel. But is he? It's just he's not a big star for the WWE. He's not a major draw for the WWE. Sami Zayn is a draw. There's a packed Bell Center going crazy for the hometown Sami Zayn. The guy sells tickets. So I look at Monday Night Raw and I see the champions there and I go, well, Priest, whatever he does is whatever he does, but Sami is kind of more important. His thing with Gable now, Sami beats Gable in a hell of a match. Gable attacks him in front of his family, beats him up, leaves him for dead, It's a good angle. And their match at Backlash, which they will probably have, right, for the Intercontinental title, makes sense. Wouldn't you say that that's a bigger match and a more important match and a match that will have more heat, more intrigue than Damian Priest against Jey Uso for the world title? I don't think anybody believes Jey Uso is going to win the title. I think everybody believes that Damian Priest will probably get the Judgment Day to help him cheat and retain the title, and that'll be that. Because Damian Priest is the only champion they got. They all have to rally around him, right? They lost the tag team titles at WrestleMania, and now Rhea Ripley had to drop the belt, and she's going away. And I understand Rhea probably has to go away to rehab her injury and everything, but if she can be on the road, if she can work and talk as some kind of manager, just as a presence for Judgment Day, it would help tremendously. Because without her, they don't really have a mouthpiece. She's the main one. She's the leader of the group. If she just goes away now, yikes. I think you have to take the title off Priest pretty quick. They got the draft coming up. Some guys on SmackDown, one guy on SmackDown, who could really move over to Raw and just become champion and take over that show. And I think you know whose game it is. L.A. Knight. Yeah! That guy. I want that guy to take over Raw. Give him Raw. Give him the ball, let him run with it. Let him see. See what we can do. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I'd like to see LA Knight move over to Raw, beat Damian Priest, become champion. Unless you're going to move Damian Priest over to SmackDown and Cody will stay on Raw, which is a possibility, and now that I think about it, probably the most likely scenario. With Raw going to Netflix in 2025, I think I mentioned this before, Raw going to Netflix in 2025 and SmackDown going to the USA Network. SmackDown now is the A show because it's on Fox. Raw is the B show because it's on the USA Network. Once they make that flip next year, which, we're in April, so we're 9 months away, right? January, February, March, April. Wait. My math was wrong. 8 months away, people. Less than 8 months away from Raw on Netflix. WWE goes to Netflix in less than 8 months. 2025. Get ready. And then Raw becomes the A show. So you would think Cody would be on Raw, right? Because he's the A champion. By far. So I think we have Cody probably in this draft, staying on Raw, and Damian Priest, and maybe a good chunk of the Judgment Day going over to SmackDown. Don't be surprised if you see a lot of stars come over to Raw in this draft to kind of gear up for things and builds and everything for, Netflix. Because if you're moving over to Raw in the draft, right, you're setting things up for next year's WrestleMania. And by next year's WrestleMania, Raw will be on Netflix. And Raw will be the flagship show once again for the WWE. And it may even be a 2-hour program. Like, they don't have to run a 3-hour show every week to get commercials and ads and all of that. They could run a 2-hour show on Netflix. They're already getting $5 billion over 10 years? I mean, and they're going to have sponsors and ads and stuff too on top of it that they could just run during the show. I don't know if they'll have commercial breaks. Probably not. They could probably just run a clean 2 hours and be in and out and have a really hot wrestling program every Monday night on Netflix. Which is going to be weird, right? But it's all coming. It's all happening, and they're preparing for that now. You would think that they would know and they would have some idea, especially with The Rock in the picture, they would have some idea where they're going for next year's WrestleMania at this point already. You have to be planning for next year. You have to be planning for Netflix. You have to be planning for all of these things, and the draft is where you're setting your pieces in motion and putting your players where they need to be. And all of that starts next week on SmackDown. Draft starts next week on SmackDown, ends the following Monday on Raw. So there's going to be a lot of movement and a lot of action. It'll be interesting to see where they go. I wonder how much they'll stack Raw. SmackDown might get ugly. Right? We've seen that in drafts, some lopsided drafts where they just go, one show's amazing, the other show has nothing. You go, what did they do to this show? They just decimated a roster. Ryan Katz says if Sami Zayn was in AEW, he'd bring a sellout to the Bell Center. I think you're probably right. Jason Pete on the chat. Jason Pete, a member of the team over at join.ringsidereport.net. Join.ringsidereport.net is where you need to go to support the channel. Jason Pete has done it. He's been doing it for months. He's the man. Angelo Contagonis as well. He has a question for me. What do you think of the new Bloodline angle, Dave? I like it. I really like it. You got Solo Sikoa. You got Tama Tonga, who's Solo's, NFT? What did he say? My MFT. And they didn't say what that meant, right? It's like a thing. They're like, Solo is backstage. He shows up in the parking lot. Paul Heyman is just waiting for him there on SmackDown as he arrives. And Heyman is like, hey, Solo, what's going on? What's happening? And he looks terrified. And then Tama Tonga shows up behind Heyman, and Heyman's even more scared. Heyman's playing this great, just terrified. And Solo says his MFT, Tama Tonga, is here. My MFT. And then Solo wants to know where Kevin Owens is, and Heyman is going to find him for Solo. I don't know how Heyman's going to find Kevin Owens for Solo Sikoa. Why can't Solo Sikoa find him himself? Heyman's like, he's in the locker room. So he then leads him to Kevin Owens. But they can't find him. They search for him and they can't find him. They're backstage later. And Heyman is like, look, you're making decisions that aren't yours to make yet. And then Solo's like, I don't want to hear all that. Stop with all that. I'm not listening to you. And then they go to the ring, Heyman and Solo. And the crowd actually chants, we want Roman. And you see Solo mouthing, so do I. He doesn't say it on mic, but he's like, so do I. Like Roman has abandoned him, and he now has to take the reins of the bloodline, which I think is an interesting wrinkle of this story. This isn't Solo just saying, screw Roman, he's not here, so I'm taking over, ha ha ha. This is Solo feeling abandoned by his tribal chief because he lost and he's ashamed, and he just took his ball and went home, tucked his tail between his legs, and abandoned him and the family. So now Solo has to take the lead for the bloodline, and I think that's good. The fact that the crowd chanted, we want Roman, and Solo said, so do I, was brilliant. Solo Sikoa has learned from the masters, Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was always very, very good, and still is, right, at reacting to the crowd and using it to advance the promo and advance the story somehow. Solo doesn't know the crowd's going to chant, we want Roman. He might have guessed that it might happen, but he doesn't know for sure that the crowd is going to go, we want Roman. And then Solo has the presence of mind in that moment right to the hard cam to go, so do I. So do I. Like, disappointed that his tribal chief is not there. That small moment was brilliant. Like, it's very high-level work from Solo Sikoa. A guy this young in the business, obviously he's grown up in professional wrestling, but it's not like he's been on TV for 10, 15 years. But the poise that he shows in these promos, the calm, the presence of mind is really impressive now doing it on his own, not just as the bodyguard, the backup for Roman. Like, he always played his role really well with Roman and the bloodline, but now that he's got to take the lead and be the main character in this story, I've been really impressed with what he's done, both tonight and last week. I thought last week he did an amazing job. He's got Heyman to play off of, which for sure helps, but, you know, just because you have Paul Heyman doesn't mean it's going to work. Ask Curtis Axel. Or maybe don't. You guys might not remember, but Paul Heyman managed a guy called Curtis Axel. WWE at one point had the brilliant idea to break CM Punk away from Paul Heyman, have Heyman turn on CM Punk so that he could manage the son of Mr. Perfect, Curtis Axel. And it went absolutely nowhere. And then I think they tried to have Heyman manage Cesaro, and then that didn't work. And then I think Heyman just disappeared for a bit. It was a disaster. They should have never given up on the Heyman Punk thing, and and then Punk eventually quit. It was bad. It was bad. So what I'm saying is, just because you have Heyman doesn't mean it's gonna work. And Solo Sikoa is making it work, damn it. Just because you've grown up in the wrestling business and you're second, third, fourth generation, whatever, and you have Paul Heyman, doesn't mean it's gonna work. It didn't work for Curtis Axel, but it's working for Solo Sikoa. Right? Different circumstances, different backstage politics, different locker room. I'm not trying to disparage Curtis Axel. I'm just making a point about professional wrestling. Solo Sikoa is doing a hell of a job. Crowd booing through his promo. Solo said, I had to lose a brother to find a new one. Last week I had to do what I had to do to Jimmy so that I could have my MFT, Tama Tonga. What does MFT mean? My friend Tonga? My friend Tama? My fucking Tongan? Like, what's MFT? Motherfucking Tongan? Motherfucking Tama? I think my friend Tama is a nice one. Motherfucking Tama. My motherfucking Tongan, maybe? Because he's Samoan, so he's his Tongan friend? I don't know what MFT stands for. I think we're supposed to guess. I'm going to go with my friend, because it's my, so it can't be my, right? So it's got to be, MF usually stands for motherfucking, right? The BMF title that was just fought over at the UFC that Max Holloway won in maybe the greatest fight of all time at UFC 300 this past weekend. BMF, it's bad motherfucker title. That's what it stands for, the BMF. It's the bad motherfucker, the UFC bad motherfucker championship that they have fights over. Which sounds weird, but it's cool. I like it. It's fine. It's all right. The Rock was involved in the first one, which was also weird. He gave the belt to Jorge Masvidal when he won. I think Nate Diaz flipped off The Rock during that whole time. It was good. It's good times. But, so MF, BMF, bad motherfucker. MFT, motherfucking Tama? My motherfucking Tama. I don't know. Word life. Go to membership.ringsidereport.net as well. Membership.ringsidereport.net. If you go there, YouTube doesn't take a cut, so that's good. We like that. Membership.ringsidereport.net as well. Harold Schneider dropping a super chat. Thank you, Harold. Appreciate you. Super chat leader of the night. Word life. Basic Thugonomics. So I like it, man. I like the Bloodline thing. I like what they're doing. And then, of course, Kevin Owens shows up bloodied on the ramp. I don't think that was real blood. I don't think he was really bleeding because it just looked not real. And then he kind of stumbled on the stage, and Tama Tonga follows him. So Tama obviously has beaten up Kevin Owens and bloodied him and battered him, and then tosses him down the ramp, and he's basically unconscious, and the refs come out to try and stop him. But Tama and Solo then pose, and Kevin Owens is helped to the back, but he returns and grabs Tama Tonga and tries to fight him. But Solo stops Kevin, and Tama and Solo beat up on Kevin Owens and stand tall. So it looks like they're doing something with Solo and Kevin Owens and Tama Tonga. I think they announced Tama Tonga versus Kevin Owens next week, but I'm not sure. Nick Aldis was like warning Paul Heyman because Nick Aldis then showed Heyman two cars that had crashed in the parking lot. And he was saying that Tama Tonga had crashed his car into Kevin Owens' car, and that's how he had bloodied Kevin Owens. He had committed a vehicular assault on Kevin Owens. And Nick Aldis was warning Heyman, like, you better get his guys under control, or maybe he'll kick them off SmackDown and they'll go to Raw or something. I don't know. Nick Aldis was talking smack. So we'll see what happens with Tama and Solo. I'd like to see another member added to that group, or another couple members maybe. Where's Tangaloa and Tangaloa? Give me Tangaloa, who, if you don't know, he used to wrestle for WWE as Camacho. He is the brother of Tama Tonga. He also wrestled in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He is the son of course, Haku. I don't know if you guys know this, but Tama Tonga is Haku's son. Haku, Ming, that guy. That's Tama Tonga's dad. And his brother, Tangaloa, wrestled in New Japan. I don't know if he's still signed to New Japan. I know that he's been injured, but I thought maybe he was going to sign to WWE. So there's Tangaloa, but then there's also Hikuleo, who wrestles as, I think he still wrestles as Hikuleo, sometimes Leo Tonga. He's been wrestling all over the world. He's gigantic, and he's another one of their brothers. He did a little bit in AEW. I think he had a match or two in AEW. He's been around. He's only 33, and he is very big. He's 6'8". If Solo could show up with more of those guys, if he could get the brothers, like all three of them, if WWE has signed all three of them, then this group could be really something. This could be a serious force. Just Solo and Tama is like, yeah, Solo and Tama with Paul Heyman just kind of terrified in the corner. It is what it is. It's not that impressive. But if Solo could start rolling out, oh, here's Tangaloa, and then, oh my God, it's 6'8" Hikuleo. The sons of Haku are all now aligned with Solo Sikoa, a four-man group. Those guys, all Bullet Club guys, with Solo leading them in a new kind of faction in WWE, the new bloodline. I think that's got a lot of legs to it. I think you could do a lot with that. So hopefully they sign them all. I want to see all those guys in the WWE. The blood was for sure fake, right, Angelo? Like, come on. I got to look at it. I was like, what is that? The color was wrong. It just didn't look like he was cut anywhere. I mean, they tried, but it was not great there on Kevin Owens, the blood. And then we had the main event of SmackDown, Damage Control. This was real silly. Damage Control was in a skybox, and they're about to watch the main event. And then Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair show up, and they have the skybox next to them booked for some reason. And then they could easily just jump over the little ramp thing and the little barrier thing and fight each other, but instead they just kind of yell at each other for a bit. And then when the match starts, they just sit down like 10 feet away from each other, not even, and watch the match. Didn't seem like bitter enemies, really. It was awkward. And then, of course, they watch Bayley and Naomi wrestle for the women's title, and the match ends in a no contest when Tiffany Stratton attacks them all. She attacks Bayley, she attacks Naomi, she beats them up, and she hits her moonsault on both of them and leaves them laying. It was Tiffy time tonight on SmackDown. Tiffany Stratton having a massive moment, laying out Bayley and Naomi, hitting her finish on both of them, and then just standing there like, what are you going to do about it? Quite a push, quite a little moment there for Tiffany Stratton tonight that they gave her. It was something. It was like, whoa. They made her look real strong tonight. I'm not mad at it, though. I think she's fantastic, and I think she's a future superstar, possible main eventer, maybe main eventing WrestleMania one day. She is top-notch. I think you build Tiffany Stratton all the way to the top until one day The Queen comes back, and then Tiffy's got to deal with the Queen. And I think that would be massive. Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton down the road, if you build Tiffany the right way, jeez. That would be something. That's a WrestleMania main event. I would build that for WrestleMania 41. I would build that for WrestleMania 2025. Tiffany Stratton, champion, Charlotte Flair, challenger. Or vice versa. You could have Tiffy Time win the Rumble and challenge Charlotte Flair, which would be pretty cool too, depending on when Charlotte does come back. She is hurt right now. Wishing the Queen the best in her recovery. There is no wrestler that we are missing more that is on the shelf than Charlotte Flair. Right? Drew McIntyre, I'm sure, agrees with that. No, we miss CM Punk too. We want to see CM Punk come back. I can't wait to see CM Punk come back. That's going to be great. I think he's going to come back in June. He's been promoting this Clash at the Castle event in Scotland. Of course, he's got this whole feud going with Drew McIntyre. It feels like he's going to be able to come back quicker than expected from his injury, from all accounts, from everything he's been saying, from the things that he's been promoting on his Instagram. It seems like possibly he'll be back by mid-June, which is pretty exciting. The WWE is hot right now. Imagine if they had CM Punk on a weekly basis again. Right? Punk's pretty cool. I like CM Punk. Whether you think he's a jerk and he attacks his, coworkers or whatever, like, he's pretty fun to watch on a pro wrestling show. The Street Profits became the number one contenders for the WWE SmackDown tag team titles by beating the AOP, the catch grappling guys, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bates. What is New Catch Republic? I don't like that name. And then Garza and Carrillo, who I think are part of Legado del Fantasma. No. Wait. No. Yeah, Legado del Fantasma with Santos, right? So it was a four-way on SmackDown. Street Profits won. They're number one contenders for 8-Town Down Under. It'll either be a Backlash or just on SmackDown. I think they might just do it on SmackDown. They're having a tag title match on Raw coming up Monday night. It'll be the new champs, Awesome Truth, Miz and Truth, versus the DIY, who earned a tag title shot, I think, last week on Raw, right? So that'll be coming up Monday night. It'll be Awesome Truth versus DIY, where Awesome Truth will have their first title defense, and they'll win. And I think they're having a battle royal as well for the women's world title, for Rhea Ripley's belt that she gave up because she's hurt. So the title is vacant, and they're going to have a battle royal to determine a new champion coming up Monday night on Raw, and I think the winner will probably be Liv Morgan. If I had to bet, I'd go with Liv Morgan. Any other bets? You would think she'd be the odds-on favorite of the women on Raw. I saw some of the women on Raw. I can't imagine any of them as champion, other than possibly Liv Morgan. Without Rhea Ripley there, I don't think Becky's around, right? Or is Becky around? If Becky's around, give the belt to Becky. If not, I think you got to go with Liv Morgan. I think Seth is hurt. Seth has got like a torn MCL. He's hurt. He's going to be gone for a bit. There's word that Becky and Seth's contracts are running out in WWE. What that means, who knows? You'd expect them to re-sign, but maybe not. Could they go to AEW? Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Seth has been wrestling at a very high pace for a very long time. His body's banged up. Maybe he wants a lighter schedule. AEW is the place to go to get paid and have a lighter schedule. If you want that, you can do that. Triple H may not respect it, but, some people make that choice. Maybe Seth is talking to Mox, and Mox is saying, it's really great around here. I think it's pretty good. And Seth deciphers that as, it's really great here, and I like it, and you should come here because they'll give you a lot of money, and we can have great matches, and you don't have to be hurt all the time. You might be able to walk when you're 60, which would be nice, right? To walk mostly pain-free in your 50s and 60s. Triple H doesn't seem to respect guys who want that, but I dream of a world where pro wrestlers don't live in constant pain by the time they're like, what, 35? I mean, at least 40. If you've been wrestling at a high level like WWE, by the time you hit 40, 45, you're in constant pain. And you know, by the time you hit 50, 55, you're falling apart. Look at John Cena. He's in his mid-40s. Look at him walking around in the ring. What do you think that's from? Because he's 46 years old or whatever? No. Guys his age are supposed to move better than he moves. It's because of the pace and the schedule that he was on. And he's going to pay the price. And a lot of these guys pay the price for it. And I think, you know, maybe with a reduced schedule, you might be able to walk properly, and you might not have to have surgery on every part of your body. Because you hear from wrestlers, you talk to wrestlers, and it's like, yep, all the parts of my body, surgery, everything hurts, everything's busted. I've tried all the therapies, all the this, all the that, doesn't work. Listen to any of the pro wrestlers like Undertaker or I think Hogan maybe. A couple of the guys, they went on Joe Rogan, and Rogan's talking to them about injuries. Kurt Angle, and Rogan's talking about injuries, and have you tried this? Have you tried that? Because Rogan's always trying to push like the latest, you know, injury fix or, you know, whatever. And, you know, and the guys are always like, yeah, I tried that, and like it didn't work. And Rogan's like, all the other guys you hear, you know, some of the MMA fighters is like, yeah, that worked, that helped for a bit, but then it didn't. And Kurt Angle's like, yeah, it did nothing. It did nothing. Because these guys are so banged up. They're so beat up. Wrestling is so tough on the body that it's just like they're beyond repair. And Seth Rollins, at this point, a man with a child in his late 30s, getting to be close to 40, thinking about his body and how he feels, he's got to be wondering, like, do I want to feel worse than this? In 10 years, how am I going to be? How is my knee going to feel in 10 years if it feels like this now? How is my back going to feel? Is it worth it? You got to ask yourself, is it worth it? I think health is wealth. I think, no amount of money in the world is worth your health. But wrestlers make that trade-off a lot of the times. And we love them for it. But you can't, Triple H, go around disrespecting a guy for making a choice that, choosing his family and his personal health over, the grind of the road. So I could see Seth Rollins making the choice to go to AEW. Not because he doesn't like WWE, not because he doesn't want to work there, not for no reason other than his body hurts, and working once or twice a week would be easier on his body. And it also doesn't mean like he wouldn't go back to WWE. It's the type of thing where you can kind of take a break. You're not taking a break, but you can kind of take a break from the grind of WWE. You don't have to wrestle 4 or 5 nights a week. You can, if you choose to, you can take extra dates, but you don't have to. The choice is there for you, which I think a lot of guys really like. Will Seth go? Will Becky go? I don't know. I would bet on no. I really doubt it. I really doubt it. But goddamn, pal, Seth Rollins and Will Ospreay in AEW. They've already traded shots on Twitter in the past. There's heat there. The match would be phenomenal. Just saying, it would be pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. You know? Well, Ospreay is going to have a pretty good match with a guy who decided to step away from the WWE, not because he hated WWE, not because he didn't like being there or just wanted to leave, but because he made a choice for himself and his family that AEW was the place to be. And that was Bryan Danielson, the greatest wrestler in the world today, the maybe greatest wrestler of all time, next to Bret the Hitman Hart. If not greater than Bret. It's debatable, and I debate it myself in my mind every day. Is it Bret? Is it Bryan? Is it Bret? Is it Bryan? It's tough. Who wins? I don't have to decide. On one day it's Bret, the other day Bret. Today it's Bret. Tomorrow, Sunday, when Bryan wrestles Will Ospreay, could be Bryan again. I waver. But I don't waver between any other guys. Of all the wrestling that I've seen and all the wrestlers that I've seen, and I've seen them all, Bret Hart and Bryan Danielson are the two best, and no one else is even in my discussion. Except for peak Kurt Angle. Peak Kurt Angle was the best. Hair Kurt Angle, and even bald Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle in his prime, oof, tough to beat. Basically a perfect professional wrestler. But it just didn't last as long as it needed to. But my goodness. Those three are the best ever. But look at Will Ospreay. Like, he's going to be making a play for that title, I think. His microphone work has been on fire lately, which is really something that you kind of go, is that going to come along with the wrestling? Because the wrestling is already above and beyond. And if he can get the mic work close, he's going to be a pretty formidable force in the wrestling business. There are going to be very few guys who could say they're better than Will Ospreay. Very few guys, if any. I'm looking at Will Ospreay right now as probably the number one talent going today. I mean, Bryan is wrestling right now, but I don't think Bryan is peak Bryan right now. He's winding down. Ospreay is winding up. Ospreay, I think, is the number one wrestler in the world today. In all aspects of the game, he is the top dog. And the match with Bryan Danielson this Sunday is going to be unbelievable. Let's get into it. AEW Dynasty coming up on Sunday. AEW gave us Dynamite this week. Right? We had an episode of Dynamite. How did you all like Dynamite? I like Tony Storm. Dynamite. I think that works for me. We had the Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada in action on Dynamite this week, which is always fun to see. I like when we see Okada. I like that Okada is in AEW. How could you not, right? It was the Young Bucks over Pac, Daniel Garcia, and Penta El Cero Miedo. That was a fun six-man tag. We also had Edge and Willow Nightingale against Julia Hart and Brody King. It was a weird mixed tag match where Willow got attacked backstage, and then eventually she showed up and helped Edge. And they still lost. Yeah. Brody King and Julia Hart wound up winning. Yeah, it wasn't the best episode of Dynamite. They kind of limped into the pay-per-view. Will Ospreay and Claudio Castagnoli in the main event was a pretty good match. Which, it would be. It was solid. It was a solid main event. But it just, AEW does this thing, and I've noticed it a lot for the builds to their pay-per-views. They announce like a bunch of the matches. They announce the biggest matches weeks ahead of time, sometimes months ahead of time, right? And you go, okay, that's a cool match. When is it? Oh, it's in like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks? Okay. Well, call me when it's happening. And then the build is just like, oh, I'm going to wrestle you. Yep. Hey, we're going to wrestle. We are. And the following week is like, hey, I'm going to beat you. No, you're not. And there's really nothing. There's no build. Bryan and Ospreay has just been like, Ospreay's like, I got to beat you, Bryan, because you're the best, and if I want to be the best, I got to beat you if I want to call myself number one. And Bryan's like, I got to beat you to prove that I could still hang and that I'm still among the best in the world. And that's what they've been saying for like 8 weeks on this show. They haven't said anything to it. There's nothing to say. And AEW, it's not Bryan and Ospreay's fault. The most interesting thing that Will Ospreay has said on the build to this Bryan Danielson match has been a promo he cut on Triple H, who doesn't wrestle anymore and certainly doesn't wrestle in AEW if he could. And he's not Bryan Danielson. He's Paul Levesque. So the build to this has been non-existent. They've wrestled some matches. They've looked at each other. There's not a lot of heat. It's just like, well, Bryan wants to win because he's got to prove he can still hang, and Ospreay wants to win because he's on the rise and he needs to beat the great legend in Bryan. Cool. Story over. And AEW does this so much. They announce the match, and the match is cool. You want to see it, but it's just matchmaking. There's no build, there's no story, and that's how you get people to pay to see it. You get people interested by having a story with the match, by having a reason why they're fighting. There's not much of a reason. Why was the match made? Why was it made? Did Bryan challenged him because he likes to wrestle people? Was there a real reason? Did Bryan do something to Ospreay that he felt, There's just not a ton of development in the story to build up these matches, to get people to care, to get people to buy tickets and buy pay-per-views. They have a real problem building up stories and getting you to care about the matches. They have matches that you go on paper, if you're a wrestling fan, you go, damn, these are some cool matches. In ring, this is going to be great. And Tony Khan is really good at doing that. Giving us matches that are like dream matches in the ring. I can't believe this is happening. This is sick. And the wrestlers perform. The problem is they're performing in front of small crowds because Tony Khan isn't doing the other half of the job, which is giving us some interesting stories and some reasons to care and some reasons to be like, whoa, there's some stakes on the line here. Like if Bryan loses, he just loses. It doesn't matter. Bryan's like, oh, I have to beat Ospreay to see if I can still hang with the best. Bryan, you lost to Eddie Kingston like 3 times, dude. You keep losing to Eddie Kingston, and Eddie Kingston sucks. Okada basically just squashed him. You can't hang with the best anymore, Bryan. We watch AEW TV. We've seen what's happening. Don't try to tell me, oh, Bryan's got to beat him to see if he can hang with the best. And if he does beat him, then okay, cool. It's a little feud, and Bryan's like, oh, I still got it, and maybe he'll move on and finally win the world title. Hint, hint. Like, that would be great. I'm interested. Of course I'm interested. This is the only match I've talked about on AEW Dynasty so far, guys, because it's the only match I really care about. Because it's Bryan Danielson, who is the greatest of all time, and Will Ospreay, who's the greatest right now. It's ridiculous. The fact that AEW is doing this on pay-per-view is fantastic. The fact that it's not going to be the main event is dumb. But, you know, they got their world title, and it is what it is. I don't know who's going to win. I assume Ospreay's going to win. I think most of us assume Ospreay's going to win, but if Bryan doesn't win, then where does that leave him? He can't do it anymore. He really does suck. He should retire, I guess. I mean, after losing to Eddie Kingston as much as he did, yeah, seems fair. Not disrespecting Eddie Kingston. It's just like, look what Okada just did to him. Bryan was able to beat Okada like a year and a half ago, and then he loses to Eddie Kingston, can't beat Eddie Kingston, and then Okada squashes him. So Bryan's obviously lost a step, and maybe, you know, he's done, and move along and let Ospreay take over, right? If you go by the sport-like booking that they're supposed to do. I think Ospreay probably wins this match. I'll go with Ospreay, although I want Danielson to win, and I hope it leads to Danielson taking the world title from Joe. I hope at the next AEW pay-per-view, which will be Double or Nothing, it's Danielson versus Joe, and Danielson wins in Las Vegas in May, on the 26th of May. That's what I want to see. Danielson as the world champion at the end of Double or Nothing. Do I think it'll happen? Hell no. I think Ospreay probably beats Bryan Danielson in what could be match of the year, match of the century, match of the millennia. Samoa Joe defending the AEW World Championship against Swerve Strickland. Swerve, another guy who is victim of Tony Khan's booking, and it feels like he's losing momentum every week as we drift into this pay-per-view. He's been losing momentum since the last pay-per-view. He came up short in the triple threat with Hangman and Joe, and now he's getting a rematch, but I feel like he's lost momentum. He's lost a chunk of the wrestling fans that was, you know, they were really interested in him. He was really hot. Everybody was interested after that whole Hangman feud. They were having killer matches, and now Swerve is kind of just there. Having Hangman around really elevated Swerve, really made Swerve extra interesting. He had this kind of bitter feud with Hangman. They had great chemistry. But now it's just Swerve and Joe, and Joe's kind of treating Swerve like a little brother, like he's not really anything to be, you know, he's not impressed. He doesn't care. And at the end of the night, I think that's how it's going to go down. I think Joe will just beat Swerve and he'll move on. Because at one point it felt like Swerve was destined to be the world champion. It felt like Swerve had all the momentum in the world where the fans were willing him to be that guy, to be the champion. But now it doesn't feel that way anymore. Feels like the fans have kind of cooled on Swerve. They haven't been able to keep that momentum. They haven't been able to keep that interest. And I think Joe probably retains. What do you guys think? You think Joe wins or Swerve wins? You think Danielson wins or Ospreay wins? Give me your picks on the chat. Ryan Katz says, for the love of God, take the mic away from Mercedes Moné. She's awful. Yeah, promos have never been Sasha Banks' strong suit. It's the wrestling. In the ring, she is amazing. On the mic, she's never been that great. Unfortunately, she hasn't wrestled yet in AEW, and I don't think she will until Double or Nothing. So, you're not wrong. Angelo Contagona says, I think Ospreay should break away from the Don Callis family. Is he still really involved with them? He seems to come out by himself all the time. I thought he did. Angelo wants to know what I make of Moxley being the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. I think it's great. I think it's a massive move for New Japan. They're going to get a lot of new eyeballs into their product. A lot of people that weren't paying attention to New Japan are going to start paying attention again because Moxley is a top dog there. I think it opens up a lot of cool matches in Japan for Moxley. I think it's a nice change of pace. It keeps Moxley as a top-level guy in the professional wrestling business without making him the AEW World Champion and having him take that space up. You can have that space occupied by someone else while Moxley is still obviously doing something big. It's not like wrestling fans can go, oh, what's happening with Moxley? He's just kind of nowhere. He's floundering. No, he's the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He's the top guy in New Japan and one of the top guys in AEW. As he continues to just kind of go all over the world and collect championship belts everywhere he goes, top championships everywhere. I think it's great. I think it's a great move for New Japan. I think Moxley is a solid champion. Moxley, since leaving the WWE, has done a phenomenal job in completely reinventing who he is and what he represents as a professional wrestler. And I really like it. And I liked his promo on Dynamite this week. Yeah, I'm a big fan of what Moxley's done and how he's kind of changed who he is, changed his look. Looks in phenomenal shape these days. He went to rehab and he came out of rehab. And ever since then, he is just on another level. When he left WWE and went to AEW, there was a switch there, and he elevated his game. Then we found out he had a problem with alcohol. He went to rehab, seems to have quit alcohol altogether, and now it's like another level of Moxley that you didn't even know existed. And it's really impressive, and I applaud him for doing it. It's like I got so much respect for that guy. Really completely, my opinion on that guy has completely changed from Dean Ambrose, who he was in WWE, which was just not, it just didn't work for me. But just the work that he's put in and just his physique, just the way he's changed his body too. Look at the way he looked in WWE at times, and now the way he looks in AEW as the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He should be very proud of himself. He should be very, very proud of himself. He's done a tremendous job. I give tons of respect for Jon Moxley. I think he's great. And I'm not even a big fan of his wrestling matches necessarily. I'm a Bryan Danielson guy. I'm a Will Ospreay guy. Jon Moxley's matches I think are cool. But that hardcore style is not my favorite style. He doesn't wrestle like a technical wrestling style or a super crazy athletic style that I prefer. I like guys that are I like to see guys in the ring do things that I can't do, that I could never do in my life. It's just impossible. I don't have the ability to do what Will Ospreay does, physically. I don't have the ability to do what Bryan Danielson does. Moxley does things where it's I could probably do a lot of the moves he does physically, but I don't want to do what Moxley. I don't want to put myself through what Moxley puts himself through. He wrestles a different style than what I like to see in what is my top preference. I like to see unbelievable execution, great technical wrestling, and Moxley's not a technical wrestler, and he's not a guy who's ridiculously athletic. He's not Kurt Angle, but I have so much respect for him. There's very few guys in wrestling that I respect more than Jon Moxley, and I feel as a man, he seems like a good person. He doesn't seem like a bad person, and in pro wrestling, that's hard to come by. So, yeah. Enough of this Jon Moxley love, but I do think he's great. I think he's great, Angelo. Thank you for the question. I think Moxley is great. I have mad respect for him, and I hope he continues to kick ass and stay, on the right path for him and his family. I wish them all the best. His kid's half Canadian, so, pretty good. Pretty good. You got to love Canadian people. He married a Canadian person. Renee Paquette. She's from Ontario, but she sounds like she's from Quebec, so pretty good. Pretty good. Ontario, you get a pass. Renee Paquette sounds pretty damn French to me. I don't know what's going on there. There's got to be some French-Canadian, at least Acadian blood somewhere there. You got to figure, right? So, Moxley's children, they got some maybe Quebec in them as well. So, pretty good as well. Can't forget. God bless. Timeless Toni Storm defending the AEW Women's World Championship against Thunder Rosa. I don't think it's time to end the Timeless era. Toni Storm is so much fun. Can we keep this going? I think we keep it going. I think the match is going to be awesome. This whole card is so good. Joe and Swerve is going to be a great match. I think Joe will win, but the match will be great. Ospreay and Danielson, I think Ospreay's going to win, and the match should be ridiculous. Toni Storm against Thunder Rosa, that's going to be great. I think Toni retains here. We will have new champions, at least in the tag team ladder match, because it is the tournament final for the vacant tag team titles. Sting and Darby Allin were the tag team champions, but then Sting retired and Darby had to vacate the championships. And then they had a tournament, and FTR and the Young Bucks wound up in the finals. Wouldn't you know it? It's a ladder match for the vacant AEW World Tag Team titles, and I believe the Young Bucks will win this match. I think it'll be awesome. I can't wait. Young Bucks and FTR, always good. Classic rivalry. It's become a classic AEW rivalry, and every time they meet, it's great. They have a rivalry and a feud that you can believe in. You believe there are real elements to this feud. You believe that the teams, for real, the real guys, don't get along, don't like each other. Whether it's true or not, I believe it. A guy who watches everything and follows everything and sees everything, I go, yeah, all these guys, like some of these guys are friends when they're doing this. Most of these guys are friendly and it's all good. When the Bucks and FTR get together, though, I don't think it's so friendly. I don't think it's that friendly. I think they are professional, but they keep it professional. It's not friendly, and I like that. It's a real rivalry. Both teams think they are the best tag team in the world today. They both believe that for a shoot. And they want to prove it every time they're out there. And that is very cool. Because you look at them and you go, yeah, I don't know which team. It could be either one. They're both pretty damn good. They're both pretty damn good. I'm not even going to give you an answer as to who I think is better, because I don't think I have one. I think they're the two best tag teams in the world today. They're two of the greatest tag teams of all time. They're in their prime, and they're about to wrestle a tag team ladder match for the vacant championships. What more can you ask for? That is top-level professional wrestling. Two of the greatest tag teams of all time. And they may, one of those teams may be the greatest tag team of all time. When it's all said and done, if I had to say which one, it would probably be the Bucks, just for the contribution to the wrestling business, what they've accomplished. Pretty hard to beat, just from not just creating AEW, but just the buzz that they were able to create with being the Elite and the Bullet Club and everything that they were able to do, and getting over by themselves without the national TV that the WWE afforded for the FTR. It's different with the Young Bucks. Their story, their origin story is just amazing. FTR has a cool story, but it's just we were in NXT, they put us together, and we became a tag team, and now we're a good tag team. And we became really good friends. Okay, that's cool. It's like Matt and Nick grew up together, they're brothers, and they've wrestled forever together, and they were everywhere, and eventually they became undeniable to the wrestling business. it makes me sad that some people in pro wrestling don't want to give them their flowers. Like, you got to give them their respect. You don't have to like them, but you got to respect what they've been able to do and accomplish in pro wrestling. It's pretty amazing. They made a wrestling company. That wrestling company doesn't exist without the Young Bucks. I think that wrestling company doesn't exist without the Young Bucks. More the Young Bucks than Kenny or Cody. The Young Bucks are the backbone. They're the heart and soul. It's those guys. And them in a ladder match is always muy bueno. This match is going to be amazing. I can't wait. This pay-per-view is stacked. Stacked. And, of course, the build to the FTR Young Bucks match, also totally fumbled by AEW, showing the CM Punk footage and all of that. It was just a total mess, right? Just a mess. But the match will be great. So it'll all be forgiven once we see the wrestling. I think the Young Bucks win. Right now, they're on a roll. They got this new gimmick. They got Okada with them. I think the Bucks are going to win. I think they have to win. I think FTR beat them the last time, right? And at Wembley, that was the whole thing. They blamed CM Punk and Jack Perry fighting for their loss. I could see Jack Perry coming out and helping them win, too. I could see Jack Perry. It's a ladder match, right? Anything goes. I could see Jack Perry getting involved in helping the Young Bucks win. Angelo Contagona says he's tired of the timeless Tony BS. Okay, maybe you're not the only one. Maybe they go with Thunder Rosa. Maybe they switch it up, Angelo. I don't know. AEW pay-per-views are hard to predict. I could see them going back with Thunder Rosa. They like Thunder. Thunder's very good. They might be gearing up for Britt Baker's return. Britt versus Thunder is always classic, right? That works. You could always go back to that. If they're gearing up for Britt Baker's return, she's been gone for a while. I could see them giving the title to Thunder Rosa and maybe wrapping up on this timeless Tony run and seeing where Tony takes us next. But I feel like it still has something to it. I think you could still go with it. I like Toni Storm. I would keep her as champion, but you never know. Angelo saying Moxley's starting a feud with Will Hobbs. He challenged to a match next week on Dynamite. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, it is what it is. Will Hobbs. I don't know. I don't know if it's a feud. I think it's just a match. Moxley not on this pay-per-view, by the way. Neither is Will Hobbs, but Kazuchika Okada is. He'll be making his defense of the AEW Continental Championship against Pac. Another match that should be nuts. Oh, my goodness. AEW is just giving us some great wrestling here. And I've got Okada winning. Julia Hart, Okada. I mean, the lineup of this pay-per-view is just stupid, man. Okada versus Pac. Bucks versus FTR in a ladder match. Toni Storm, Thunder Rosa. Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson. Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland. I haven't even given you the rest of the card, which is not as impressive as what I just told you. But still, some of those matches that they have put together, the roster that they have, it's nuts. If you are a wrestling fan, you can't look at this card and not be impressed. Like, come on. That is good shit, pal. We are going to have some good old-fashioned wrestling on Sunday night. And I'll do a post-show for it Monday night at 7. I can't do a post-show for it late night Sunday. AEW pay-per-views go till like 12, 1 in the morning. And I got to be somewhere Monday morning so early. So I can't stay up for you Sunday night, guys. But I will be here covering AEW Dynasty, giving you my thoughts, giving you my recap, giving you my thoughts on 10, a score on 10 for the pay-per-view, and, of course, match of the night. We'll talk everything AEW Dynasty coming up Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right before Monday Night Raw here on the Ringside Report Network. Julia Hart defending the AEW TBS Championship in a House Rules match against Willow Nightingale. I think Willow is going to take the belt here. I think we see a title change. The winner of this match is going to take on Sasha Banks at Double or Nothing. She already announced, like, I got winner of the, even though she's never wrestled a match in AEW, she's going to get an immediate title shot for some reason. I guess because she's the CEO of AEW? I don't know. But she will get a title match, And I think she will continue her feud with Willow Nightingale. She seems to have more going with her. So I think Willow probably takes the TBS championship here from Julia Hart. Roderick Strong defending the AEW International Championship against Kyle O'Reilly in a match that I really could not care less about. I think... it'll probably be all right, but I don't know. I think maybe Strong retains. Strong retains. Hook defending the FTW Championship in an FTW rules match against Chris Jericho. I want Jericho to win and become the FTW champion. I think that would be fun. I think he might, too. I think it would be a fun new run for Jericho, calling himself the FTW champion and just being ridiculous with that. Maybe he could just pretend to be Taz. That could be Jericho's next gimmick. He just does a Taz gimmick. That would really piss Taz off. Starts wearing orange, dressing like Taz, wearing a towel to the ring with the FTW title. I think that would be hilarious. Jericho just going as, 1997 ECW Taz. Just Tazico. It could work. I'm going to go with Jericho to beat Taz for the FTW, or beat Taz's son Hook for the FTW championship, because I think it would be funny. Probably not, though, right? Hook probably wins. I don't know. Who cares? What a dumb match. This whole Hook Jericho thing, let me be your mentor, and Hook's like, no, and then Jericho's like, come on, and Hook's like, yeah, no, and maybe. It's just, who cares? It's not been Jericho's best work. And, it's trying to elevate Hook and make him look good. I don't think it has. It's made him look real awkward on the mic. Those promos have not worked. Not a single one. Edge, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe taking on Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews in a trios match for some reason. I think the House of Black probably wins because they're actually a team. The other guys are just guys put together. I don't see why this match is on pay-per-view or it's happening at all, really. Why isn't it Edge defending his TNT championship against Malachi Black instead? That seems like the match to make. I don't know what they're doing here. And that's the pay-per-view. The pre-show has 3 matches. Orange Cassidy and Katsuyori Shibata versus Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty. I think Orange and Shibata probably win that match because Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty seem like total jabronis in AEW. And Orange wins matches. Trent Beretta versus Matt Sydal. Trent Beretta recently turning his back on the best friends. I think he probably beats Sydal. Sydal never wins. And in the opening pre-show match, it'll be The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. Look how far they have fallen. Although it is a winner-take-all trios match for all the trios championships. It's kind of a big match, but it's the first match on the prelims. It's free. Pre-show. The Acclaimed. The AEW Trios Champions. That's the 6-man title, so it's The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn taking on Bullet Club Gold, who are the Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team Champions. It'll be Jay White, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn versus Billy Gunn, Max Caster, and Anthony Bowens. And the winners will be the undisputed Ring of Honor and AEW Trios Champions. That's good. We're getting that settled. I'll go with the Bullet Club Gold to win. More gold for the Bullet Club Gold. I think they take the belts off The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. Daddy Ass is losing his belt. And that is AEW Dynasty coming up on Sunday night in St. Louis, Missouri. Home of the legendary Harley race. And that's coming up Sunday. And once again, I'll be back here Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, to recap everything that happened at AEW Dynasty. Or Dynasty, if you want. But I like Dynasty better. Has Tony Storm called it Dynasty yet? Because that seems like an obvious move. Dynasty. It's got the word nasty in it. Why are we pronouncing it Dynasty? How about Dynasty? How do you want to die? Nasty. How come the word is dynasty and not dynasty? Anybody ever question that? Or dynasty? I like dynasty. I'm going to start pronouncing the word dynasty, dynasty, and if anybody starts to correct me, I'll just say, look, I pronounce things how I want to pronounce them. I do how I want to do it. If I want to call Sasha Banks in AEW, I'm going to do that. If I'm going to call the show Dynasty, I'm going to do that. If I want to call him Edge, I'm going to do that. Commentary calls him Edge half the time, too. They can't get it straight. Nobody can. Okay. Thank you guys for hanging in with me here on a Friday night. Big shout out to the members checking in. Angelo Contagonis, Harold Schneider, Jason Pete, Leor. Tiffy time, Leor. It's Tiffy time, baby. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to my main man, AJ, checking in, eating his souvlaki late night on a Friday for some reason. Everybody tuning in, Ryan Katz, Jimmy James. Sorry I didn't get to meet Ray Cruz on Monday night. It's too bad. I would have liked to have met him. Shout out Franco316. I see you. And everybody else tuning into the show here tonight, whether you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Where else are we? Rumble. We're on all the things. Watch us on all the things. Go to membership.ringsidereport.net. Membership.ringsidereport.net. Support the channel there. Support the channel over at join.ringsidereport.net as well. Keep us together. Keep us going. Keep me going. I just gave you over an hour and a half of programming. Just me. Just Dave. We give you a lot of programming. We had the UFC 300 watch-along this past Saturday. We keep busy, and we'll give you a post-show for AEW's Dynasty coming up on Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the Ringside Report Network. And then next week, I'll be back here on Thursday night with Freddie and AJ. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. for Ringside Report MMA. And Johnny will be back, and he'll tell us how his title match went. He's got a big casket match in Sudbury, Ontario tomorrow. So good luck to Johnny North. If you're in the Sudbury area, go check him out. Info is on his Twitter, at North Genesis, and at Genesis Johnny North on Instagram. Go to our website, ringsidereport.net. We've got exclusive content only available at ringsidereport.net. All sorts of MMA and pro wrestling information and news and highlights over at ringsidereport.net, the official website of the Ringside Report Network. We will be back coming up real soon here, Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, for the AEW Dynasty recap show. They say Dynasty in the UK. There you go. Thanks, AJ. AEW Dynasty recap show coming up Monday night at 7 right here on the Ringside Report Network.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end. We would really appreciate it if you could help us spread the word.
You know the drill. Hit that subscribe button, flip those notification switches.
We are an audience-supported network, so consider becoming a recurring supporter at membership.ringsidereport.net. Check out our website at ringsidereport.net. Hope to see you again next time.